Oh, he's dinging in his dinghy and he's dinging on the whip. And later on he might find something nice like a bigger ship. And then he'll go somewhere else and he'll get some cheese and waffles. That's not being put in the video. Hey, you beautiful Buccaneers, Falcore here. So I've had the very fortunate chance to play Windrose ahead of release over the past couple of weeks. And honestly, this is one of those moments where being a content creator really pays off. I've clocked about 50 hours so far, which doesn't make this a full final review, but it does mean I've spent enough time with it to form an opinion, which goes a bit deeper than the usual first impression after the tutorial you sometimes see floating around in certain gaming news websites. So to keep it fair, this isn't me claiming ultimate authority, just someone who's been happily glued to it for longer than I'd like to admit. Send help. And with that out of the way, yeah, I'm having a great time. And here's why. For anyone not familiar with this fantastic pirate adventure, originally known as Crosswind, it's gone through some pretty major changes during development. What started life as a free-to-play MMO, complete with PvP zones and a premium store to keep things afloat, has since evolved into a paid-for survival co-op experience set across the high seas. I'll be honest, even I was a bit disappointed at first when the shift was announced. It felt like a big departure from what was originally promised, but spending time with the current version, it's clear why the change was made. By narrowing their focus to a single, more defined experience, instead of trying to cater to every type of player, the developers have been able to refine what the game is trying to be. And, somewhat annoyingly, because I was ready to complain, it's actually paid off. Turns out, fewer directions and more depth beats trying to do everything at once. Something other pirate games could learn from. So, one of the biggest changes you'll notice straight away is PvP is gone. This is no longer about sweating over other players stealing your loot. It's about having a genuinely good time, whether that's with your mates or just braving the seas alone. If you played the demo, you'll be glad to hear that it barely scratched the surface of what's available in the early access version. And it's worth emphasizing that this is early access, not a full release, not a finished product, but the first step in what looks like a pretty ambitious journey. I'll break down everything it has to offer properly because there's a lot to get into, but for now, let's talk about why it's hooked me. At its core, the game is about survival on the seas, but it gives you a surprising amount of freedom in how you go about that. You can build up a base pretty much however you like, wherever you want, and honestly, it has some of the best base building mechanics I've ever come across. You can farm, bring in NPCs who actually help out and give useful buffs, gather resources, go tomb raiding, fish, and naturally, get absolutely bullied by a dodo. But, let's be real, the star of the show is the sailing. You build your ship, you set out into the ocean, and that's when the game truly opens up. And I mean properly opens up. There are moments where you are just out there, no land in sight, no other ships, just the creaking of the wood beneath your feet, distant storms rumbling, and your crew going about their business. These early journeys between islands don't feel like fast travel, they feel like an actual adventure. Being able to move around your ship, man the cannons, chart your course, it all comes together to create this immersive, slightly chaotic, but genuinely brilliant sense of being a pirate. So that's probably where it got me. Content-wise, there is a lot here already. The main quest alone offers roughly 50 hours of gameplay, and that's before you even start getting distracted, which you absolutely will. There's a huge number of side quests, plus loads of discoverable locations scattered across the island's biomes that constantly pull you off course, in the best way possible, of course. On top of that, you've got faction systems to dive into. You can level these up by handing in bounty tokens earned from both land encounters and naval battles, and they're actually worth your time. These faction NPCs unlock schematics for your base, your gear, your weapons, and even your ships. So progression feels meaningful rather than just ticking boxes. Speaking of ships, early access already gives you 3 main ones to work toward: the Ketch, the one you'll all recognize from the demo, the Brig, and the Frigate. So remember that massive ship you remember from the demo? Turns out it's basically the baby of the fleet now, which is both impressive and slightly humbling. And of course, we can't ignore the real MVP, the dinghy, not glamorous, not powerful, but always there for you when things go horribly wrong, which they will. Each ship also comes in 3 variations, letting you tailor your playstyle a bit, whether you want speed, firepower, or maximum storage for hauling everything you probably didn't need to pick up in the first place. On top of that, you can customize them with skins earned from faction leaders or discovered through exploration, giving your ship at least some personality before it inevitably gets you into trouble. At the launch of Early Access, April 14th by the way, the game comes with 3 biomes to explore, the one you'll already recognize from the demo, plus 2 brand new areas to get lost in. And it doesn't stop there, with a 4th biome, the Ashlands, already planned to arrive during Early Access. The game for now, in its Early Access stage, is PC only, but plans are in motion for console releases later in development. So there's plenty to discover, plenty to explore, and a clear sign that more is on the horizon. It actually feels like a start of something bigger, rather than something that's just been pushed out the door early. Performance-wise, it's also been a pleasant surprise. Stability has been solid, and the addition of SFR and DLSS support makes a big difference, especially in a game like this where you've got large bases, lots of customization, and potentially a lot going on at once. Which is great, because nothing kills the immersion of a dramatic ocean voyage quite like your frame rate deciding it's had enough and jumping overboard. I'll be honest guys, it's actually pretty hard to find a fault with this one. For a crafting survival game, it hits just about every mark you'd want it to, and then it adds pirates on top, which for me is basically a cheat code for enjoyment. So if you're a fan of the survival crafting genre, it's starting to feel pretty clear that Windrose could end up leading the pack, genuinely. It just gets what makes these games fun and leans into it without overcomplicating things. That said, in the spirit of keeping things fair, there are a couple of small things I'd love to see improved. A first-person option would go a long way for immersion. I want to feel like I'm really there, not just slightly behind myself at all times. And some of the character animations could be a little smoother. But honestly, these are just nitpicks, proper I had to sit here and think about this for a while kind of complaints. But this is the great thing about early access. Feedback such as this could potentially get listened to, and Windrose could be a very different game in the future than it is today. At the end of the day, this is just a fantastic game made by a small, clearly passionate team, and you can feel the passion in pretty much every part of it. It's one of those games where you can tell a lot of care has gone into the details, even if I still can't forgive the wildlife for having a personal vendetta against me. Anyway, there's plenty more Windrose content on the way, so this is just the beginning. And depending on when you watch this video, I will be live most of the week playing this game and answering any questions you guys have over on my Twitch channel. Links are in the pinned comments below. A big thank you to the developers for giving me early access to this game so I could jump in and share it with you all. Genuinely appreciated. So if you're keen to see more pirate chaos, questionable decision making, and the occasional disaster at sea, feel free to hit the like button and subscribe. It really helps me out. But until next time folks, happy sailing.
Come all you bold seafaring souls, come listen unto me, of Captain Falcore's daring course across the wild new sea. He left behind the tavern's roar for treasure yet untold, and chased the winds to distant tides with hearts so fierce and bold.